Hi, I'm Laura Flanders of The Laura Flanders Show, where I interview the best thinkers and doers of our time. On TV, the show premieres Sundays at 11:30 Eastern on PBS World and at the Laura Flanders Show YouTube channel. You can join my guests and me every week there in the live viewing party, and then catch us all week on public television stations. Prefer to listen? Find us on a radio station near you or subscribe to the free podcast. You'll find listings and ways to subscribe at lauraflanders.org. That's also where you'll receive my regular commentaries. I call them the F word. Here's this week's. Saket Soni is a brilliant labor organizer. He's also a talented storyteller. His first book, The Great Escape, a true story of forced labor and immigrant dreams in America, tells the gripping can't-put-it-down tale of one of the largest human trafficking schemes in modern U.S. history, and how 500 Indian-born workers brought their corporate exploiters to account. It's the kind of bottom-up David versus Goliath victory tale we need told more often. Lured to America on the promise of good pay and green cards, the men Soni writes about mortgaged their homes and their families' futures in order to pay for a chance at the American dream, only to find when they arrived, as Soni puts it, not the dream, but an American nightmare. Crammed into filthy man camps on toxic land, working dangerous jobs on hurricane-damaged oil rigs off the Gulf Coast, the workers finally revolt. With help from Soni and his colleagues at the New Orleans Workers Center for Racial Justice, they devise a bold plan and escape, thanks to a whole lot of cheap cigars, some paid-off disgruntled guards, and a faked big Indian wedding. After marching 1,500 miles to Washington, D.C. in the style of Mahatma Gandhi and a 29-day hunger strike, the workers finally forced the federal government to act. A DOJ investigation of their employer, Signal International, ensues, along with dozens of lawsuits in which juries finally require Signal to pay $14 million in damages to one group of plaintiffs and $20 million to another. Today, Soni is the founder and director of Resilience Force, a project that comes directly out of his experience working with the men in his book. With the U.S. experiencing a labor shortage and climate catastrophe increasing the need for disaster workers, he and his team seek to build the recovery workforce we need, with the rights and equities those workers deserve. What we urgently require, says Soni, are systems of repair and rebuilding, not just of our immigration system and our buildings, but systems of repair and rebuilding relationships, systems that band people together to solve our shared problems. So where do we stand? At the end of 2022, after a spike in scaffolding deaths, New York's Governor Kathy Hochul signed legislation establishing Carlos's Law, increasing the criminal corporate liability for worker death or injury on the job. The state of Colorado is launching the nation's first unemployment program for undocumented migrants as we speak. And the president's backward position on asylum seekers notwithstanding, just as The Great Escape was being published, the Biden administration finally announced new protections from deportation for workers who are alleging abuse. And perhaps that's the coda to Saket Soni's tale. David versus Goliath stories are great, but it's even better when the Davids get some help. You can see my conversation with Saket Soni and the faces of many of the workers at our website, lauraflanders.org, or on any one of hundreds of public television stations across the U.S. Find out where and how to subscribe to our podcast at our website. That's lauraflanders.org. Till the next time, stay kind, stay curious. I'm Laura.